Welcome into Steelers Latest, your daily spot for all news and information related to your Pittsburgh Steelers. Remember to subscribe to the channel and leave a like if you want to stay up to date with all our Steelers information coming out this off season and into the regular season. But let's start this show off with a rumor I've been seeing here today about the Steelers possibly trading up to the number 10 overall pick. That is the Bears pick right now. And this was the proposed trade in that article I read. It had the Steelers giving up the 21st, the 83rd, and the 123rd pick of this draft to get only in return the 10th overall pick from the Bears. Now, this still relies heavily on the Saints at 9, not taking your favorite guy, not taking the last quarterback, first round quarterback on the board in either Jackson Dart or Shadur Sanders, which seems very likely they're going to do. So I'm not the biggest fan of moving to 10. You got to move up a little bit earlier. I think you got to get that 8 with Carolina, as we discussed yesterday, to have that chance at the quarterback you actually want instead of the last scraps, really. Also, I'm not too comfortable giving up most of my draft capital this year to address the quarterback position that much, honestly, because it's either going to be Jackson Dart left, I feel like, or none at all, honestly. I could see the Saints taking the last guy and Jackson Dart off the board and Stur just going in the top 3. Or Stur slides, hopefully he doesn't go to the Saints and then you get him at 10, but it's a little more up in the air. I'd feel way more comfortable in this trade if we're giving up a player like Highsmith or Pickens. We'll discuss Pickens a little bit more later on in this discussion. Or you might, you're getting if you're getting a little crazy out there and you want to see it happen, you could always offer TJ Watt up just a 1-for-1 kind of deal. I think TJ has first round value. They'll probably give you more value than any 10th overall pick does in their first year there. So that's always a possibility too. I just giving up 3 draft picks in this year's draft just seems like way too much right now. We got a couple more holes we need to fill other than the quarterback room. So I'd rather just see us stay at 21 or move up to 8, jump the Saints. I prefer being in front of the Saints, then I will be more willing to give up draft capital because then it's more of your choice what quarterback you want than relying on who the Saints don't take. But let's move on to another solution possibly at the quarterback position as I'm seeing rumors once again float around about Anthony Richardson coming to the Steelers, possible trade. Remember, he was number 4 overall draft pick 2 years ago. First 2 seasons really kind of struggled on and off the field. He had injuries, and then on the field, it's just been a lack of accuracy and consistency from his playing time. He does have a couple game-winning drives in his career, but once again, 50% completion percentage in his first 2 years, 11 touchdowns to 13 interceptions in his 15 games played. That is just not going to get the job done in the NFL at all, unless you're playing in the 1960s, 70s. Then those numbers are like, oh, that's fine. But no, we're in 2025, so that's just not it anymore for a quarterback. You got to have your completion percentage up in the high 60 percentage. Now, he did have a high ceiling coming out of the draft. He still is very athletic. He's only 22 years old. I think he does kind of fit the mold of a quarterback that someone like Arthur Smith in his system would want, QB1. But can he develop on the field? This reminds me a lot of kind of Justin Fields last year before we traded for him. He struggled in his first couple years with the Bears. He still had all the talent that you saw in college and the athleticism that you see week to week with Justin Fields. But when he got here, you saw some improvement, more consistent winning from him, some better passing accuracy too. Didn't really let it rip down the field when Justin Fields was in there, but he also allowed you to have more of that option run game with the quarterback position. So that's how I kind of see if we do bring Anthony Richardson in working out for us. Well, Justin Field did have a nice stretch there as our starting quarterback before Russ got in. So Anthony Richardson could possibly improve a lot if he came to Pittsburgh, just because we've seen how a athletic quarterback going from a poorly run organization to the Steelers kinda lifts them up a little bit, but I just don't know if he will ever reach that full potential we saw from Anthony Richardson coming out of the draft. But let's move on to another trade possibility. This is a trade heavy episode. Uh, could moving on from George Pickens help us re-sign TJ Watt next year? I'm putting this out there because both of them are free agents entering next season. Both of them contracts come to an end. You're gonna have to pay them both. More than likely, one of them is going away anyways. We've seen rumors about Pickens trades all offseason. We've seen rumors about Watt recently surface because of the deal not being done with him yet. And they're just the negotiations don't seem to be working too well between the Steelers and Watt right now. He's looking for probably closer to Myles Garrett money than where we have him at right now. I think he's $19 million lower than Myles Garrett entering next season. So giving up someone like Pickens, also Pickens could be used in a draft day trade for us to move up to 10 or 8 with Carolina and the Bears. Um, Also, he's been a head case his whole time here. He's had great production on the field with the rotation of quarterbacks he's had in his career so far. Kind of reminds you of DeAndre Hopkins' start to his career. Just DeAndre Hopkins was a little more to himself, less outspoken about his frustrations with the team. Where with George Pickens, you see the frustration boil over on the sidelines multiple times every year. Um, Now, is that going to be reliable for your franchise, a receiver like that? I mean, the production's been there. Yeah, I think he had the highest average yards per catch all last year. So, I mean, it's hard to give up on someone like Pickens, but you already have your wide receiver one secured for the future with DK Metcalf and that deal he signed after being traded over to the Steelers. So you don't really need a wide receiver one, and he's gonna want wide receiver one money compared to wide receiver two money. So it is something to think about. Giving up Pickens will allow for cap space in the future where you can keep someone like TJ Watt to a bigger deal, maybe entice him to stay. I know some of you out there don't want him to be staying, so you could trade Watt and sign Pickens to an extended deal and have the offensive side of the ball be the leader of this team once again, like we saw with the Killer Bees. But we don't have a quarterback, so I think it's easier right now to see our defense be on the better side of the ball and to get rid of a player like Watt would just be brutal to significantly hurt that defense. And I think you need him here for at least the next 2, 3 years to maintain a winning record if we're trying to do that. But if we're trying to tank, get rid of him. But Pickens, getting rid of him gives you the cap space to keep someone like Watt. Let me know what you think about that in the comment section below. But we got some draft prospect to talk about. This is actually one of the Steelers' highest speculated draft prospect coming into this upcoming draft. Derek Harmon was recently flagged for medical concerns. Was reported by Brian Brodus of The Fan in Dallas. Now, should the Steelers avoid a player like this? Traditionally, the Steelers have avoided players with medical concerns coming into draft time. We very rarely draft them, if not ever. I don't think so. I can't remember. I think our Fatu last season when we drafted him, a little bit of injury concerns, didn't see much of him. So that we could be hesitant because of how recently something like that has happened to us too. But I really do like Derek Harmon. He seems phenomenal up front from Oregon. He was a playmaker on both the run and pass defensive sides of the ball. So I really do like him at that 21 position. If there's not a quarterback there, I think he'll be the best available prospect. More than likely, he'll be there at 21 because of these concerns. Also, he also compares to a young Cam Hayward coming into the draft. I think that's another great aspect of him to learn under Cam Hayward for a year until Cam Hayward retires. I don't know if it's in the next year, but it's definitely coming up recently. We need someone to secure that defensive line once again, especially in the middle of the defensive line, because our rush defense at the end of last year was horrendous. So I think Derek Harmon is a plug and play day one for the Steelers. I would love to see the Steelers go out and draft him if there's not a quarterback available at 21. And by quarterback available, I mean Shadur Sanders. I don't really like Jackson Dart all too much. I think Harmon is the most well-rounded pick right there if he he's still on the board and if the Steelers aren't too concerned about the injuries or the medical concerns that were flagged recently. But hopefully they aren't, because once again, I'd love to see him join TJ Watt, Cam Hayward, now Ty Smith on that defensive front. This has been the episode of Steelers Latest. I've been your host, Cole Dennis, and I will see you tomorrow.